Alright, so let's now talk about compositions. Compositions of functions. Okay, so the past few exercises we've been adding functions and subtracting and multiplying, dividing. Now we're going to do something called a composite or a composition. So what we're going to do in essence, i.e., is we're going to put a function inside of another function. So I call that within. Function within another function. You can even put it in the same function. So let me show you some function composition notation. So it's written f composed with g. That's how we say that. F composed with g of x. And sometimes we also say that as f composed with g, or a composition of f and g. So a couple different ways to say that. I can also write it as f of g of x. And I kind of like this format in a way because I can see that my g of x is inside my f of x. So that kind of helps me remember that g of x is going inside of f of x. Okay. Let's do an example and see how this works. So here I have a data table, and for reference, this is from the textbook number 78 in case you want to read the problem or look at the data table. So here I've got an f of x data table, and here I have a g of x data table. So what I want to do is I want to find, first of all, I want to find g composed with f. So I can compose f with g, I can compose g with f, and they're different results. So I could also rewrite this as g of f of x. So I see that f of x is going inside of g of x, which tells us where to start. Okay, so let's do an example here. I want to find g of f of 1. Okay, so I start here, start with f of 1. So go up to your table here, your data table, and when x is 1, f of x is 2. Well, now that I know what f of 1 is, it's 2, the 2 now is going to go into the g of x. So now we have g of 2. So I go up to my data table where x is 2, g of x is 4. See how I had to evaluate f of x first, or f at 1 first? Then that result, the piece that came out, went inside of g of x. Let's do another one. Let's find f composed with g at 5. Well, this really means f of g of 5. So let's start first by finding g of 5. And g of 5, let's see, here's 5 in my table. When 5 goes in, out comes 6. Now 6 is going to go into the f of x. So f at 6, when 6 goes into f of x, out comes 7. Let's do one more example. Let's do f composed with itself at 3. So it would look like this, f of 3. So the first thing we have to do is find f of 3, and when 3 goes into f of x, out comes 6. Now 6 has to go into f of x. So now we need f of 6. See how the 6 is going to go in there now? And when 6 goes in, out comes 7. So this is an example of finding compositions using a data table. We could have done the same thing with equation. So rather than having a data table, we could have had an equation. I'm just going to make something up here. We could have had an equation for f of x. We could have had an equation for g of x, and you would have evaluated it the same way. We just did this example with a data table.